Hey, what do you say, Seattle hockey fans? Erica L. Ayala here for another episode of Locked on Kraken, your daily Seattle Kraken podcast. We're going to talk trade rumors, Seattle prospects. We're going to, of course, talk about the WHL Championship run, the Stanley Cup Final now set, and you'll also hear in our final wrap up of our co-parenting responsibilities with the Charlotte Checkers. We'll head over to Max McCormick and his exit interviews, all that and more on this episode of Locked on Kraken.
You are Locked on Kraken, your daily podcast on the Seattle Kraken, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
We are the Seattle Kraken.
Hey there, Seattle hockey fans. Welcome to another episode of Locked on Kraken. As always, thanks for making us your first listen of the day. And today's episode is brought to you by BetOnline. BetOnline has you covered this season and all seasons with more props, odds, and lines than ever before. BetOnline, where the game starts. Where we're going to start this show is with a few updates from the WHL series. Of course, we talked about the Seattle Thunderbirds, and if we're still talking about the Seattle Thunderbirds, that means they were able to stave off elimination. Indeed, they were. So I'm going to take you over to WHL. We're going to look at the box score first. So let me pull this up for you. It was another close one as the Thunderbirds get the 3-2 victory over the Edmonton Oil Kings. You see here in the box score that Edmonton did start off early. That's been something we've heard a lot from the Thunderbirds that they want to do is start early. They didn't quite get the early start, but they dominated the second and third period, mostly the second period, as they blanked the Oil Kings in that second period. And then the teams went 1-for-1 in the third. So getting a strong start is something that we've seen the Thunderbirds still struggle with. They tend to be a team in that second stanza where they can get things done. I should say, in that heartbreaking loss, they definitely got it done early in that game, but unfortunately couldn't close it out. So it's still, you're struggling to see this team give a complete game. It's either front-ended or back-loaded. That happens in hockey, but it's going to be something that this team that can afford very few mistakes. And, I think they were able to obviously really get it done. They dominated all but the third period for shots on goal over Edmonton. And they, again, were strong on the penalty kill. We can see here that the Edmonton power play was 0-for-6. The Seattle Thunderbirds able to convert one time out of 5 power plays. This is a physical type series. We've seen that time and time again. Let's see if we can make this video work, as we're going to hear from Ryan Gottfried, defenseman for the for the Seattle Thunderbirds.
First, defenseman Ryan Gottfried. Ryan, 3-2 victory for you guys last night in Game 5 here in Edmonton. Take me through it. Take me through the win. Take me through your guys' just resiliency seems to be the key word for you all playoffs long.
Yeah, we've been there. That was our 6th game, facing elimination there. And, when you've been there 5 other times, you know exactly how you have to play, and that's a simple road game, and that's exactly how we played. We got deep. We were getting pucks on net, and we played well defensively. So, overall, we had everyone step up in throughout the lineup, and that's what we needed to win the game.
I mean, you give up the first goal in the first period, and it seems like you guys didn't miss a beat. You outshot Edmonton in the first period to get the roulette goal early in the second. But just tell me about the mentality. It just seems like nothing phases you guys.
Yeah, as a team, we really thrive on, kind of sticking through to our game no matter what happens in the game. And, we've been down. We have multiple games where we haven't scored the first goal. And, in the dressing room, we just tell the boys, just, keep your mind on, what you need to in the game. And, when they score the first goal, it's kind of like, don't sweat it. We've been here before, and just do what we can to get the next one.
What's been the secret for you guys away from home? That's 8 wins now for you in the playoffs.
I think it's the simple road game. We know exactly what we have to do out there. It's no matter what, we're at home, if we have our fans behind us or not, we know exactly what we have to do out there, and that doesn't change from game to game.
Obviously, you're one of the older guys on this team. You got another veteran back into your lineup last night in Henrik Rybinski, and just want to ask you, asked your coach last night just about the lift that gave you guys as a group, just if you could expand on that and just what it meant to have him back in last night.
Yeah, having anyone back in the lineup is massive, especially having Ribby back in the lineup was really big. He's a key part in, all of our systems throughout the team, and just having a little extra experience back there was great to have him back. And he's a great guy in the dressing room, and he's a great leader, and it was just great to have him back.
You guys have been eating.
So we'll leave it there for now, but you heard that being able to be road warriors, obviously that's going to be extremely important for the Thunderbirds, as they're going to have to close out on the road. They've expired all of their home games for this championship series, so we'll see what happens. Getting folks back into the lineup, being healthy, being able to contribute, keeping it simple. I loved that. Absolutely want to keep it simple, keep it simple, keep it simple. So that's what we have for you. That series will continue as there is a game tonight. That's at 9:30 Eastern time, or Pacific time, 9:30 p.m. Specific Pacific time. And that will, of course, be game 6. We'll see if the Thunderbirds can force a game 7, which obviously gives them a chance to take home a championship. If they don't get it done, season over. And unfortunately, the Seattle Kraken season has been over for a while, but that doesn't mean there isn't plenty to talk about. There have been some reports that assistant coach Jay Leach is in the mix for the Bruins job. There have been several coaches that have been let go. I know we kind of talked about what that could mean for Dave Haxtell. Is he someone that's going to be let go? I'm of the opinion, I'm not holding strong on it necessarily, but I do think you give Dave a little bit more time. But Jay Leach perhaps going back to an organization that he knows well, coming up in their farm system, of course, in the AHL as a coach. Other news that you keep hearing, like Susie, who I'm looking over now at Kraken season. We'll get to them in a little bit. But Carson Susie perhaps on the move, a potential player that other teams have interest in. So we'll see if the Seattle Kraken end up losing some players. You also, we've talked about it before, but Johnny Hockey, a lot of people talking about Johnny Hockey still. If you talk to people in Calgary camp, they think that's not happening. Absolute no-go. So I guess we'll have to see what happens. The other thing that I want to get you primed for is, of course, the draft. We're about 30 days away or so from the draft. And there's this pretty cool graphic. This is Draft Central. So check out Draft Central over at the Seattle Kraken website, but you'll see there that the second round, and I've talked about this a few times, again, Russ over at Locked On Flyers, who was able to go to the Combine. That's another thing. We're not really hearing much about who Seattle talked to at the Combine. Only a handful of names released there. So anyway, Draft Central, that second round, we've got the natural pick, of course, and then 3 additional picks in the second round for the Seattle Kraken. I think this will be interesting because, as I was mentioning over at Locked On Flyers, they're talking about the second round could be a potential steal. So who could we take? Well, I don't know who we're taking in the second round necessarily, but I do want to hit on another target. Again, we've already done our mock draft for Locked on NHL. And so my Seattle pick is in based on what the board was ahead. But another target that I want you to keep on your radar is Logan Cooley. Now, here's the thing. Logan plays for Team USA, but he's also a center, a right-handed center. You can see that he comes in at 5'10", 174. So obviously that's the position Maddie Beniers plays. I've seen a few different takes on Maddie. I think 9 points in 10 games, not too bad. But someone did mention his Corsi, which I think is fair. Didn't have a great Corsi, but I mean, like, first of all, Corsi, I have so many issues with Corsi. Second of all, I mean, he played for the Seattle Kraken. So, I mean, who had great Corsi numbers necessarily? Anyway, so here's what they're saying, though, about Logan. One of the most players using terms like dynamic, great two-way center. That's stuff that I like. Excellent 200-foot game. Count on him in any situation. Surefire top 3 pick. But if he falls to 4, the Kraken need to jump on it and draft him. Okay, so again, another pick that maybe we won't even see as an option at number 4, Logan Cooley. Coming up next, though, on Locked on Kraken, I want to take us to Max McCormick. And we're going to talk about him and the Charlotte Checkers. This will be the last Seattle Kraken player that we had do exit interviews as part of the Charlotte Checkers. Now, of course, everyone will be coming over to the AHL Coachella Valley Firebirds. That's what's coming up next on Locked on Kraken. But right now, let me tell you about Athletic Greens. Now, I tell you all the time, I'm really about my morning routine and about really packing in nutrition, thinking more succinctly or intentionally about how I'm fueling my body. And so with one scoop of Athletic Greens, you're absorbing 75 high quality vitamins, minerals, whole food source superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens. And the great thing is that it's just one scoop. They've already figured out the formula for you. One scoop in about 8 to 12 ounces of water. They give you a water bottle that you can use that I think is amazing. It has the little markers, and so you know exactly how much water you're putting in. And I mean, so I've had kind of powdered greens to get my gut health in particular on board, and the taste has always been a little bit suspect for me, at least, and for my liking. And so I've used other things. I really like ginger, or maybe even some agave sweetener just to make it a little more palatable. I don't have to do that with Athletic Greens. It's I wouldn't say it's like Built Bar deliciouser, but what is, right? But my point is that it's something absolutely that I can do. Use my 8 ounces of water, have my Athletic Greens, shake it up with the cold water, and I'm totally fine. And I am a little bit of a picky person, so I love that. I also love that the founder of Athletic Greens went on this whole wellness journey and realized how much money it costs, which is really unfortunate and a story for another podcast, but how much money it can cost to be in good health and get all the nutrients that your body needs comparative to what we have accessible, based on fast food nation kind of stuff and whatnot. So I love that part about it. It's got over 7,000 5-star reviews recommended by professional athletes, and on and on. So what we want you to do is head over to athleticgreens.com/NHL network, and that will give you a 1 free year supply of the immune supporting vitamin D and 5 travel packs. Talk about the travel packs a lot. I'm out of my travel packs, which is unfortunate, but you'll get all of that in your first purchase. So again, that's the immune supporting vitamin D, as well as 5 free travel packs with your first order of Athletic Greens. Head over to athleticgreens.com/NHL network. As always, I want to thank you for making Locked on Kraken your first listen of the day. And because you are a loyal listener, we want your feedback. We have a survey that we're doing so we can get a sense for how you are enjoying the Locked on Network. So you can go to lockedonpodcast.com/survey right now to get started. It won't take very long. And everyone that completes the survey has a chance to qualify to win one of 10 $100 Ticketmaster gift cards. So take our audience survey, go to lockedonpodcast.com/survey. And as always, thanks for listening and thanks for your help. All right, folks. As promised, we're going to head over to Max McCormick, one of our carryovers, played for the Charlotte Checkers, but is a part of the Seattle Kraken system. Here is him in his exit interview with the AHL affiliate for this season, at least, the Charlotte Checkers.
You've been here before in Charlotte, so you're kind of familiar with it, but with the two organizations coming together, what can you say about how these fans have kind of embraced the Seattle side of this, knowing that it was only for a year?
Yeah, I mean, I think the fans did a great job embracing it and giving us a lot of support, and I think the guys in the locker room and the staff did a great job of coming together. And at first a lot of guys hadn't met each other, didn't know each other at all, and by halfway through the year, you didn't even notice it. It just felt like we were one team. It was never mentioned, never even really a thought. So I think everyone did a great job all around, and it was pretty seamless.
I know we talked at the beginning of the year, you got that deal with Seattle pretty late in the game. What does it mean to you to be rewarded with a 2-year deal from them before the season's even over?
Yeah, it's huge. I mean, I'm grateful for the opportunity. Last summer, not signing until training camp had already started was, it's not ideal. It's nerve-wracking. You want a job, you want to go play. So to have, a deal for the next 2 years is really nice.
Are you excited about going over to Seattle, having that affiliate so close by? You're obviously a guy who they're comfortable with, playing in the NHL, but just to have that whole organization there full time, is that as exciting for you?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think it'll be. I've heard they've sold, quite a few season tickets already there, but it'll be nice to be close. And obviously, with Charlotte, it's you're flying across the country with a 3-hour time difference, so that can be tough when you're getting called up the day before a game and stuff like that. So definitely be a lot more convenient to be close.
You've been here before.
Oops, there we go. We almost got a double dose of Max McCormick, and that's fitting for his 2-year deal. You heard him talk about that. You heard him talk about being able to be on the West Coast with the AHL affiliate, and obviously with the Seattle Kraken, who, as he mentioned, signed him to a 2-year deal. And so I think that was awesome. Obviously, the conversation was just how great it was to have these two franchises combined and have a pretty successful AHL team at that. So Max McCormick, as you also heard, made mention, this was his second go-round with the Charlotte Checkers. In the 2019-2020 season, he had 56 appearances, 16 goals, 19 assists for 35 points, just shy of that this season. But you also see that he was able to bring those penalty minutes down, plus minus is up there. So you saw a lot of contribution from the Seattle Kraken rostered players. And so I'm very curious to see how this all plays out when we have the AHL affiliate. And also, again, what moves is Seattle going to make, knowing that they have to fill out an AHL roster, and also knowing that we've got to get some things moving. There's got to be some positive momentum that's happening for the Seattle Kraken on their NHL roster. So how much do we see those two-way players really coming up when there's injury or whatnot? So I'm very curious. I'm curious to see how it all plays out, but that's why we play the games. Speaking of playing the games, coming up next, we're going to get you ready for the Stanley Cup Final. The East has been won by who else? Who else but Tampa Bay? That's right. They're going for the three-peat. Are they going to be able to do it? We're going to talk about it. But right now, let me let you know about betonline.net, which is your number one source for all your sports betting stats and info needs. BetOnline is where you can find all of your sports developments, your news, your odds, including, of course, the NHL hockey. Now the conference finals are over. Now we're at the Stanley Cup Final, baby. Let's go. Major League Baseball, MMA, UFC, and boxing. Bet Online is your continued source for sports wagering information, live betting, esports, and more. Head to the website or use your mobile device, your tablet, whatever you got to find the trends and action. Bet Online, where the game starts. Now this is exciting, folks. We have the Tampa Bay Lightning were able to take down the mighty Rangers, the mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Unfortunately, they couldn't morph to a team that didn't rely almost exclusively on goaltending. We see here that the Rangers were held off of the score sheet in the first and second period. It was a tight game, but it was a 2-1 win for the Tampa Bay Lightning. They get that first goal in the second period. You see here that it was none other than Steven Stamkos. He would have a brace, as we say in soccer in particular. But then Vetrano for the Rangers able to get one at the 13:07 mark, so just about halfway through the second stanza, or over halfway through the second stanza. But it was Stamkos at 3:28 in the third that would end up being the game winner. So is it even possible? Are we really going to see this Tampa Bay team be not obviously they made the Stanley Cup, but are they going to be a viable team? Are they going to be a viable team to win the Stanley Cup? I think they could be. I think they could be. The thing is, Colorado is a juggernaut of a team. Okay, they're pretty legit team. So I think it's really gonna be tough. But as we see here, I'm gonna go to, these are older odds, so just keep that in mind. The Stanley Cup Final starts on Wednesday. I mentioned that I was going to be doing a watch party, and that's going to be for the Founding Four podcast. That's a women's hockey podcast that I do. But I want to just talk about the odds. These are the odds that we had before the last series. But as far as winning the Stanley Cup, the odds were definitely in the favor of the Colorado Avalanche if they were to get Tampa Bay. The odds that we got, I want to make sure I get you the date right. We got these, 7 days ago on June 6th. The odds then were a minus 165 that the Avalanche would take the Stanley Cup Series to a plus 145 for the Tampa Bay Lightning. So again, we see that Colorado is the favorite here. I don't know what that means. Oh, also, I think it's interesting. They sent us, I'm just looking at my emails, but they also sent us a week ago, the next Bruins coach, some of the odds, and Leach not on here. So I don't know. According to Bet Online, we might be keeping Leach. According to some other experts, he's out the door. So we got to see what happens there. But the Stanley Cup Final is going to start, like I said, it starts on Wednesday. And I think both teams are banged up, obviously. I haven't seen enough Tampa Bay personally to get a good read for how I feel they're going to compare to Colorado. What I can say is that Colorado, first of all, is hosting that game. It's 8 p.m. Eastern puck drop in Colorado. Colorado is a team that they kind of feel like a team that, like Tampa, has kind of been there, done that, except they're not, right? So I don't know what that means now, because I am of the opinion that it matters a lot when you get to the final series. It really does matter if you've had Stanley Cup Final experience, because you're unfazed and you're hungry. Like, you know the difference between your nerves that might stifle your performance and the nerves of just what it feels like to be amped up playing in the Stanley Cup. I'm not saying that the Tampa Bay Lightning are not feeling that or that they're taking that for granted. They're just a little more accustomed to it. Also, there's a lot of media, especially when you follow college sports. They talk a lot about teams that are making their first appearance. They talk so much about the media and how much media you have to do. Now, again, Colorado making it all the way to the Stanley Cup Final. They're not necessarily going to be fazed by that, but it is something that you have to adjust to. And it's been a long season already. I mean, we started in October, back sooner if you count training camp and preseason. So it's been about half of the year already. These guys are absolutely fatigued, but they're used to this. At least Tampa Bay is. We know for sure Tampa Bay is. Colorado has been one of those teams that, people joke around and ask them kind of ridiculous questions as their season is ending because they haven't been able to get over the hump. They've gotten over the hump. They've gotten to the Stanley Cup Final. Is this enough? Is this team ready to win a Stanley Cup? I think they could be. They can get really sloppy. And when it comes to the penalties that they take, I think they get a little fatigued and are not making those, those line changes with enough time. Sometimes you just see them kind of reaching and they get silly fouls, silly fatigue fouls. And, I think Tampa's going to hold them to account. We obviously saw that they were able to do that against Florida, which was 2 series ago. So I don't know. I think it's going to be a good one. I think we go all 7. I'm inclined to lean towards Tampa Bay just because I do think that experience in the Stanley Cup Final matters. I do think, though, that injuries, either the ones that the teams have coming into the series or ones they might pick up along the way, is going to be a really great equalizer. And I mean, it is in every series, right? But the teams have already struggled so much mightily. All of the teams with injury to losing key players. We have to see what Nazem Kadri's up to. Obviously, such an integral part of that Colorado team. So, what kind of Nazem Kadri they get back. So I don't know. But that's why we watch the games. My wellness tip for you for today is, it's going off of what I said on Friday. I talked about just putting the cup down. I think also we have to realize, and it kind of goes to that energy or that stress, which is there's negative stress and then there's eustress. I was listening to some leadership development stuff, and it reminded me that those haters or some of that stress, some of the trauma that you hold on to, sometimes if you just keep a little bit of it around to motivate you, you keep that little chip on your shoulder, and it's a reminder of the people who didn't believe in you. And if you have a mentality where you can work it through and get over it, then just keeping a little bit of that chip it could be powerful. I think the way to do that, though, is to not internalize it as an attack on that individual or that experience, but you remind yourself of who people thought you were or who they absolutely had no idea that who you were. They either took you for granted, they overestimated themselves in a situation, they underestimated you in a situation. Just a reminder of the way that they misinterpreted how you were going about your business. And if you just kind of keep that there, one, it can be a good motivator, but even more so, it's a great reminder of how not to be. Don't be that person. Don't be that person that leaves any shadow of a doubt. Don't be that person who treats people the way you were treated. And when you think of it like that, I think that's what helps me, at least, to stay motivated. F them people is really fun sometimes to think and to maybe text in your group chat, but you have to get over that at some point in order to move through it and to move beyond it so that it doesn't affect you. And then you just wipe that little chip right off your shoulder because you're winning, baby. You're winning. I wish you the best. Happy Monday. hold fast, stay true, and I'll see you tomorrow because we got another episode of Locked On Kraken. Peace.